Take number 2, my friends. Take number 2. Right. Oh, I was just musing on how I got a phone call and I was supposed to start the stream 50 minutes ago. And then, yeah, geez, I mean, dang, I didn't realise how much time was going past. Anyway, look at this. So, the Nether felt a little choppier and I came out here and there was a baby piglin and we shouldn't have them spawning anywhere in here. I wonder if, like, something's gone wrong with the mobcat thing or something, because the area feels like extra laggy. Over here it was a bit smoother than this, so who knows, who knows. Right, things seem to be on track now and fixed. It's going to be a shorter stream today. Ackman16 is here for 2 months with the Amazon Prime. We got Rambling PJ here for 26-month tier free subscription. Thank you so much for continuing to subscribe. Tier free subs, of course. Can join the Let's Play Minecraft Together server. Luna Econite, thank you for 6 months of support. Greatly appreciated. So the reason that I'm streaming is because I wasn't going to stream. That's the reason that I'm streaming. It makes so much sense, doesn't it? It really does. I'm glad you agree. I was going to cover Minecraft Legends because, as we were told, there was extended coverage today. Oh, extended coverage. The extent of the extended coverage was about 2 minutes of conversation, no new footage, like next to no new details. Maybe we understand the concept of the game a little further, and so then I was like, well, I guess I won't be making a video, and I guess I can stream. So here we are doing a stream. Let's get rid of this one. This one over here was a failed. You followed me over here. You're like my little mascot for the stream. Come on then, buddy. Come on then, buddy. We're going to rebuild the entrance here. I got sent some... I say sent some fan art. It sounds a bit weird to say it that way, but Hoffen, who created the skull and the skin that you see before your very eyes, sent me this little artsy piece where the skull was built different and sort of sunk into the ground. I'm going to put it on my other screen. I'm going to put it on top of where my mods talk to me. So sorry, I won't be able to see you for a bit. Hive Complex, thank you so much for your Prime. Tyrium87, thank you for 3 months of incredible support. Greatly appreciated. So we're going to be working on a new design here today, and we're going to have a waffle about a couple of amusing... Well, actually both of them are definitely amusing, and one of them is definitely... In fact, both of them are definitely serious. So serious and amusing content for you today, because we all need content. X! Talk about something. I need content. I don't care what it is. Just make noises with your mouth. That's the day and the age that we live in, isn't it? Content. Everything's content. I did an oopsie, but it's content. Right. Enough with the meta. So, if we just look at the size and scale and what we built here, it's all a bit of an experiment. I feel like some of the first few bones are okay. The sandstone looks better from a distance than it does up close, doesn't it? Maybe we should use diorite. I might switch to diorite over here. As you get into this space, I feel like you've seen probably enough of the bones. I might even rip out this monstrosity, which actually I think turned out pretty good. It almost looked like a bit of a hand, right? Or we start here and extend the thing back. I think it's probably a little smarter to extend it back. This is going to come out because it'll spoil the view. But essentially, like, if we bring it too far forward, I think we want the whole thing to kind of open up and then show us this skull that's currently on my head. Hive Complex, thank you. Oh wait, no, I did read that one. I thought I had another one in my ear. Right, let's go over to chat then. Waffles says, "We Will, you must have just tuned in. I was just talking about it. I got a couple of waffles for today's stream." Oh, you are just all over the place taking damage today, aren't you? All over the place. See you later, mate. See ya. See you about. Right, so this thing is, let's see, it's like, it's actually 5 blocks wide, which doesn't really work for us. So we're going to have to adapt it a bit. We're going to have to adapt it a fair bit. This thing is annoyingly 4 blocks. Why did I make it 4? I think I wanted you to be able to see it from far away. Why is it 4 and this is 3? Is it also in line with it? It is, but somehow it ended up being 4. Well, let's rebuild it then. That little piglin is forever trapped in the overworld now. It'll be zombified before long. Perhaps you could give the portal some decor that fades out into the bones. Nah. I'm going to stick with the plan I've got. Haven't been able to catch a stream in a while. Usually X streams around 2 AM for me since he does morning streams a lot. But I'm happy I'm able to watch today. I'm glad you're here today as well. It's a good day to be alive. As are most days, really. Where's the overlay timer? Oh, I don't know. I think it's working today. How long have we been live for? Does this thing tell me? Does that thing tell me? 6 minutes. Let me update it then. It's because I had to restart. I probably just forgot to click on it. Alright, it should be pretty succinct now. Yeah, so did we knock out a stone block here? How tall are we? I'm pretty sure that's 3 there, so then there should be there isn't a gap. No, that's right. Okay, so then 2, 3. Let's replace this one because we wouldn't dare leave an odd one in the corner now, would we? That'd be sinister. Maniacal, some might say. I need some actual stone blocks for this, don't I? I actually had waffles for breakfast, funny enough, says Allied Alex. What was I watching earlier? Stranger Things, and they had like, they called them Eggos. I was like, what? They look like waffles to me. Waffles are made with eggs though, so you know. But yeah, it's like a plate of waffles with like syrup all poured over it, and I was thinking, that is not a proper meal. As much as I love it. I've eaten so good the last couple of days, just loads of fresh fruit, cooked meals, feels good. That would... No, we need like one more of that now. Yeah, where did I put this? The actual things that I need are somewhere in here. Like that. And then stone. Right, that's the other thing that I need. Yeah, we'll take that. Probably don't need those slabs. Don't know where they came from. I'll chuck the obsidian in there. Right, this thing is so annoying and difficult to see when you're in this area. Okay, I'll take that. Patrice Bart is here for 17 months. Thank you so much, Patrice. I appreciate your continued support. Appreciate it ever so much. Alright, did I actually take out any of this? Apparently not. Right, there we go. That's going to be now hidden behind the next thing that we're going to build. So we need it to be centered. We need the player to be able to... Am I getting this about right? I feel like I am, yeah. Player needs to be able to walk underneath it. Let's go over here. Whoa! Noises are in my eardrums. Yes, they are. We got Fuzzball, Renakitty. Here are those cheers and those biddies. Afternoon, mate. I hope you and all of chat are doing well. I got myself 5 albums in the post today. Judas Priest, Angel of Retribution, Defenders of the Faith, Nostradamus, Ram It Down, and Stained Glass. Good old UK classics. Oh yes, thank you so much for the biddies. My favourite of those. I'm torn between Defenders of the Faith and Ram It Down. I'd say Defenders is better musically, but I love that cheesy kind of like over the top heavy metal of Ram It Down. It's so good. Big Phil 8707 here for 8 months, saying I've been watching for almost 2 years, but subbed only 8 months and enjoying the content. Well, thank you for subbing, my dude. Appreciate you doing that. Oh, I've just realised the error of my ways. And yes, okay, I'm not perfect. There are errors in my ways. This isn't... Oh, man. Now, I was so excited to do this, and immediately I'm like, this doesn't work, because Oh, maybe I can make it work. Like, you need to... Okay, actually, yeah, right, so here's what we'll do. We'll make it so you have to walk through this bit, alright? You have to actually get real close and personal. So then the top of this shape can be about here. Yeah, this model that I was sent, I kind of jumped into it and maybe didn't think too much about how it would look in the game. One of the things with models you've got to watch out for is when they have textures on the side of the blocks as opposed to like each block is a texture, because then it kind of makes it look like there's more detail in the space than you can do in the game. I mean, that's exactly what it makes it look like. Right, so this thing is going to have a nose. So we're going to put, I think we'll go with that one actually. Like, it would be like that according to the model. I think from where you're going to see this, you probably want these textures here going up. Right, we've got some more noises. I need to drink some tea. I've got a cup of tea here. I haven't had a cup of tea all day, and I feel like I need to really enjoy this. This is... I got a feeling this is not going to work out. It just doesn't quite have the charm this model does. It doesn't feel like it's quite as translatable, but we will not give up. Of course we won't. Right, noises in the ear and tea. That's what the time is now. Resting Griffin, thank you ever so much. 30 months with the Amazon Prime. Greatly appreciated, my dude. We've also got Bell Stephen gifting subs to Breezing Shadows, Fumbles Esquire, Garblery, Friendly Asteroid, and Scoliosis. Thank you for gifting those subs, my dude. If you heard your name being read out loud, be sure to say thanks to Bell Stephen in the chat. We always appreciate the gifting of the subs, right? Even if it does hit me on the head. That's some good tea right there. Good tea. Although I will say, I've become very fond of the mint flavoured tea. These other ones don't taste quite the same. Will this be in the next video, or are you going to say what you have done or what? Says James the Paul. Am I going to say what I've done or what? I don't. This won't be in the next video because this is live. My live streams don't go into the video. Or very rarely. I think I might have put in a clip or two in the past. Somewhere in here we need some eyes, and because I've got such limited space, they're going to be here, right? Uh-huh. That looks about... that's where the eye goes, right? See, these don't look like teeth. I'm going back and forth with this model, and I'm just thinking it just doesn't work. I've rather hastily just pulled this stuff out of here. I don't really see... I mean, scale... Okay, let's try... Like, what if the eyes are going to be too tall, right? Oh, it just... If it looks anything, it looks like cute and sweet and not grim and menacing. Oh, I think I made a mistake. Maybe I should have just left all of this how it was, right? Dripstone for teeth. Yeah, although it's just not the right scale, right? Like, I think what I should do is probably take the time to figure this out in creative mode, right? Think about how much space... Alright, let's go do something else today. Clearly this was just not a smart idea. I mean... Yeah, that model does not translate the way I thought it would. Dang it. I feel like, you know, you make decisions in life where it's like, you sort of see something and it's like, yeah, that's a good idea, and you haven't thought it through, right? And then you learn, oh yeah, I need to think things through. But then do you actually learn that and do that? Like, I want to get better at anything that I undertake, right? And this just feels like, shouldn't I have sussed this out a little bit more? Why do I jump into things? It feels like too often I jump into things and then you're like, oh, I haven't done enough here, right? Like, I should have figured this out a bit more. It feels like that just happens too often. This, you know, I was looking at this model and I was like, oh, I can just, you know, build that over here, and clearly didn't think about what that means enough. Oh well. Oh, by the way, if you saw the tweet or the post that I used to announce this stream, that is the model that I'm looking at. That's why I thought it'd be kind of interesting to use that, because that's the thing we're actually going to do. So yeah, I might end up just rolling back all of that or coming up with something new. I don't know. It was a great pick on the tweet, Suspecca. God, that was loud. Y'all heard that, right? That was insanely... That sounded like so many of them. What the heck was that? Are they now... Where did they all go? That was... Right, you're there. Okay, you've got a bone block now. You have fun with that, mate. Have fun with it, mate. What on earth was that sound? Why was it so loud? Weird. Very weird. Whatever. Johnny C2096, thank you for your subscription. It is appreciated. So if all of y'all can see that image, you can probably see how I thought, oh yeah, let's make that the tunnel entrance. But then when you get in there, things like perspective and stuff have to come into play. Who knows? Who knows? When I build bones, I use lots of quartz, says Matt Corpse. Yeah, I feel like the sandstone wasn't quite working out. I might switch to that and diorite, I think. Right, we've got not as long as usual today. So we better crack on. We're going to come down here and jump into this and take this on again. So I think we're just going to stick to... We're going to work on the left side. We're going to stick to digging down. Let's put these chests over here. So, a little bit of storage. And then I need the bones. And I need the lights. I think I'm going to skip doing that, actually. I'm going to focus on just putting the bones in today, right? So we'll have a few of those and some of this. And we'll use this tool right here. Let me log in with my camera account. Rightio, that's doing its thing. And I guess now we can crack on. Oh yeah, gotta do that, and then go here, and then go there. Right, that goes off. This goes on. And just make it a little bit higher and we're good. Off we go! Oh! Oh, the rib cage. We're back here again. So I've got a couple of waffles planned today. Do y'all have anything you want me to talk about? You know? Anything on your mind? Pete and Neil was here for 16 months saying waffles and pancakes. Oh, you're making me hungry. Thank you so much for your support, my dude. Ah! I heard a spider. And it gave me stress and anxiety. That's weird. That is weird. Oh, I heard it again. Not so stressful this time. Not so stressful. A waffle about first aid. I got no thoughts on first aid. How tall is the average duck? Goodness me, that is a deep question. Someone's really thinking. Talk about food. Do you have any good Netflix shows to recommend? I've been enjoying Stranger Things, numero 4. I think it was number 3 that I didn't enjoy as much, but then when I got to the end of that show, I was like, actually, this is pretty awesome. And I feel like now I'm just a full-on fan where it's like, I just want to enjoy it, you know. I always try and tell myself to try and enjoy stuff, right? Not to be like nitpicky and, oh, this thing went right or whatever, but like, seeing all the characters come back and like the way the story's unfolded, as much as I've seen of it so far, it's awesome. I love this show. It's so good. All the 80s songs and vibes as well. Pretty funny. Pretty cool. The fact that the newest update was actually really good. Like, yeah, some stuff didn't make it, but it's great, says Apameg. Yeah, I agree. It is good. YouTube is my Netflix, says Marin Moose. Well, I use YouTube differently to I do Netflix. I use YouTube a lot, but it's a different kind of content, isn't it? Rafi Warren, thank you for 28 months, saying, good evening, X. Coming by to tell you that I love the base idea. Still not having much time to follow you as much as I want, but I hope I can soon. Thank you, my dude. I hope to have you back on the regular before long, and I appreciate your support over the years. There we go. Did you hear the news about Erza, the actor of Flash, kidnap a girl and ran away? I did not. I don't really pay much attention to the news. I mean, it's funny. The two things I wanted to talk about were related to the news, but not the sort of stuff that stresses you out. I mean, my attitude is, if it's relevant to me, if it's local, if it's something I need to know about, I'll end up learning about it at some point, right? I can always go, I can spend all day on the BBC.com learning about something horrible happening here and there, you know. It's part of what happens in society, unfortunately. Bad things happen. But, you know, when you use the news, it's like all of the bad bits happening all over the world are sort of being magnetized and pushed into your focus when, you know, they're happening in faraway places and whatnot. I'm not calling for, like, you know, bury your head in the sand about what's going on in the world. It's just, you know, what can you tolerate? How does it affect you? What's important to you? I pay attention to the news that's more relevant to me, you know, and things that I can deal with and maybe then talk about or whatever. There was this old Sega Genesis game called Decap Attack, and the island that it takes place on is a huge skeleton. Oh, that's kind of cool. Whoa, that's kind of cool. Sorry, my after I drink sometimes my diaphragm like spasms a little. Which when I say it out loud, I wonder if is that normal? You know, you get like the burpy kind of spasmy thing. Right, onto the waffles. Also, welcome to the stream, Artemis Xmistra. Cool, what a name. What a name. Alright, what do we start with? Let's start with the security one that I heard earlier. Okay, right, here's the story for you. So, who knows what ransomware is? Oh, by the way, this is going to involve a poll, so if my mods don't mind jumping on for that for me, I'll be greatly appreciative. Anno Dominera is here for 2 months. That's probably a butchered name right there. God, what was that? What was that? Fuzzball Renakitty says ransomware, awful stuff. Oh, it's awful, believe me. But this type of ransomware is going to come with the question of, like, do you think it's good or bad? But let me explain first of all. Okay, so there is a new type of ransomware made by a group of people. I don't know what name they're claiming. The way in which I heard the story didn't go too much into the details. Here's what the ransomware does, though, okay? Now, normal ransomware will encrypt all of your data and then hold you to ransom to unencrypt it. Now, what they usually want is money, right? You know, give us money. Sometimes you send them money, they don't even bother to unencrypt. Like, that's it, all your data's gone. So nasty, nasty stuff. But this group of people, what they're doing is they're trying to get you to do what they're calling good deeds, air quotes. So, for example, rather than paying them money, you have to show yourself doing good things in the world. And they will give you a bunch of ideas for what this can be, like not just ideas, but like requirements, you know? So some of this involves going into a local hospital and paying for someone's surgery, someone who needs it. Some of this involves finding kids who are impoverished and treating them to a meal. And other general absurd ideas like that. I mean, the act of kindness is not observed, of course not, but when you hold someone to ransom and tell them to do this stuff, it's absurd. Now, how do they prove that they've done it? This is the worst thing about this. This is what I think is just so misguided and weird. Is you have to have a social media profile and you have to post on Facebook or Instagram your good deeds, right? Not only that, it's a requirement that you have to smile. Like, this is some absolutely misguided, completely misguided ideas, if ever you've heard it, on how to have good manifest in the world. How can you create an idea, undertake a set of actions, and the net result be good for the world? Well, these people seem to think, hold people to ransom over it. I am bizarre. I am bizarre? I'm bewildered. That's probably the word I was looking for. I'm bewildered that this type of thinking can exist. Anyway, my question to all y'all, if the mods want to set up a poll, let's just keep it simple, yes or no. Do you think it's a good idea? Like, some of you might think it's a great idea to do things like that. Since it exists, I can therefore extrapolate that some people obviously think it's a good idea because they went and did it. I don't know how you end up in a place like that. Like, you must be in, like, I don't know. I don't know, like, what someone's, I don't know, like, upbringing is like when they end up making a decision like that. Like, how do you not see the problem with what you're doing here? It's so strange. What do you mean exactly by ransom? All of your data is encrypted. So a ransomware is like you're held ransom. Ransom is where, like, you take an individual or something and you say, I'll give it back for money, right? We consider this to be, you know, immoral, illegal, etc. They're operating on the premise that you have to do good deeds and it's a way to bring good into the world. So they're holding people to ransom to force them to do good deeds. I mean, is it even a good deed if you're forced to do it? Isn't it just kind of like a meaningless transaction, at least from the perspective of goodwill? There is no goodwill, you're just undertaking the actions as instructed, I guess. It's so weird. It's just such a weird story. Such a weird story. I don't like it at all. And I think it's incredibly misguided. I mean, obviously, at some level, the intention is good, right? Inherently, but, like, so wrong. So off the beaten track. And it's just bizarre. Have you uploaded YouTube video? Have you uploaded video on YouTube for your live stream? Xisuma says. Not. I have not uploaded a video for my live stream. Right, let's do this. Some of this, some of that. Is that a skelly? No, there's no mob up there. I heard a skelly bob, then I thought I saw one, but it wasn't. It was a mirage. Okay, I think that'll do for that. Do I have a shovel? I do. Of course I've got a shovel. Don't be silly now. Right, and then that kind of hooks it up with this area where the concrete was and yada yada yada. I still haven't evaluated the placing of the concrete much. Let's keep it kind of slim on this side then, since we did it that way. Some of y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. Right, I need to look at those poll results. View the results. 7 people voted yes. 107 people voted. 93% of you think that it is not a good idea. Like, alright, so those 7 people, like, think about it a little bit. You're holding someone at ransom and forcing them to undertake actions that you deem to be good. Just switch it around and think about how much of a inconvenience on you it would be, and how, like, inconvenience isn't quite the right word either. Just, it's totally not cool for someone to encrypt your data and hold you at ransom, even if they claim to be doing it for good. It's just completely bizarre, in my opinion. I don't know. I feel like it's almost like one of those things that doesn't need explaining, so it's like you don't quite know where to start. Sub-Zero says, to be fair, I didn't hear the question. So you voted... Okay. Gah. You voted out of ignorance. That's a concern. That's a great concern. You're taking, you know, your democracy for a blindfold ride there. It's like a typical election then, says Becca. Well, here's the thing. There is this debate of, like, you know, are all votes equal? Should everyone have a vote? You know, I personally look at the world as a place with a lot of, let's say, imperfections, right? Like, there's always imbalance and imperfection. There's always both suffering and happiness. Like, and obviously we want to tip the scales, but I think it's an important principle that everyone gets to participate in that. But you can make the argument that, you know, if you had more informed voters, if more of your voters were better educated, etc., etc., like, would that be better for society? I mean, I feel like it would potentially accelerate the progress of society, but at what price? If you can't explain the question, then you can't vote, says Mon PJC. I mean, that does sound like a fairly good rule, but it's just not the kind of thing. I mean, what's the question when it's like, who are you voting for? I mean, if you don't understand who are you voting for, person A, person B, then yeah, maybe that is a good metric. You don't understand how voting works or who you're picking, don't vote. Should we move on to story number 2? Neo says, I don't agree with them 100%, but I understand where they came from, and I would much rather have ransomware of kindness than money. Interesting way of looking at it, you know, if you were forced into that situation. Here's the thing, like, some of the things they were demanding are things that I'm not comfortable with. Like, I am not that much of a people person. I love people, and I love the world we're in, but, like, from a distance for me, okay? If you know me via some of the things I've talked about my upbringing and stuff that I went through when I was younger, like, it's not an excuse, but maybe you can understand why I feel that way. Like, to be forced to go and do stuff like take selfies with people and post it online, and, like, that's so not me. That's just not something I do. I'm not, like, hands-on like that. And some people are, and it's no judgment. I think people who go out there and do charity work and social care and support for other people are amazing. It's just, it's not me. It's not something I'm good at. Like, my act of kindness to the world would probably manifest totally differently. So, like, to be held ransom and have someone tell you what to do, I just, I don't like it. Curls says, I love people from a distance is how I've been feeling a lot lately. Yeah, I've just never been a social butterfly, you know? I've never been the sort of person that, like, gets in amongst a crowd, makes themselves known. Like, some people are like that, and I always appreciate them. They've got, like, amazing social skills and can sort of express their warmth for other people really openly. I just, that's just not me. I don't have that. That's not to say that maybe I can't learn that if it's the sort of thing that can be learned, right? You know, but that's just not how I am with people. And I love all the things we achieve and do for one another, and just from a distance, you know, like, I'm quiet. I keep to myself. I'm good. Batesy Boy 321. Thank you ever so much for subscribing. Appreciate it, my dude. Appreciate it. And I'm not sure if I read the last one, so I'll read it again. Anno Do Mineria, thank you for 2 months of support. Just in case I missed that. Sub-Zero says, I can be social, but I get tired after a while. Yeah, that's... Okay, so that's like going into the territory of extrovert, introvert. I'm obviously introverted. And I have, like, deliberately worked on that energy feeling, that getting tired. Like, where you feel drained. And like, I've managed to sort of increase my tolerance over time, if that makes sense. I don't know. So it sounds a bit weird to use language like that, right? But that's just me trying to like work on myself and be better around other people. It takes work, but you know, you can change. Anyway, I think I made my point. Like, that's sort of like so not something I would do. Some of the things that they were demanding, and it just felt totally wrong. Like, violated. You'd be violated to be forced to go do a bunch of stuff that you're not comfortable with, right? Like, it's just not cool. But anyway, like, if, you know, one or the other... See, I'm not sure. Like, you can pay me to stay away from people, you know? Like I said, I'm not a social butterfly. I'm not a, like, a get out there in and amongst one another type of person. So I'm not sure what one I would take, to be honest. Oh, jeez. X, you must share with us how you increased your tolerance for people. I'm extremely introverted and I'm incredibly lonely, says Crazy for Candy. It's a case of, like, it's always about addressing your own thoughts. Like, meditation is a great way to, like, get into this space. Cognitive behavioral therapy is another one. Like, the way you are not your thoughts is the, like, end conclusion of a lot of this stuff. You are not actually the things you are thinking. And when you identify that, you can see how the things that you keep thinking over and over again are holding you back. You tell yourself stories like, I can't, and all this kind of stuff. You hold on to past traumas, and this stuff isn't easy. It's not like, oh, I understand, now I'm good. You know, like, it takes a lot of hard work and whatnot, but, like, your thoughts are the things that kind of get in the way, and they're sporadic, they're all over the place. There's always stuff popping into your head. There's never, like, peace and calm, and it comes from, for me, it came from learning to develop peace and calm in your mind. Today, when I went for some walks, because I get several walks in a day, I wanted to be, like, present, so I didn't put on my headphones and listen to a podcast like I might normally do. I very deliberately just tried to enjoy, like, the warmth of the sun on the skin and the fresh air, and you know, just getting out there and moving your body about and walking. I just tried to appreciate those simplest of things. And when you do that, like, the noise in your head just quiets down, and you feel less of those, you know, anxiety and all these other sorts of emotions. And it's like doing that with social situations that helps you build up a tolerance for it. It's like, if you can hold on to that, you know, kind of that take it easy, take it slow, detach yourself from the thinking, you just kind of learn to be in a better space when you're around other people, essentially. Looney MC, thank you so much for the raid. Dang, a Looney raid, I love that name, that's cool. Since you got MC in the name, I'm going to guess you're from the Minecraft community, so welcome all the Minecraft peeps to the stream. We're in a giant rib cage. Oh, what's this? Oh my god! Oh! If you've played Minecraft for long enough, you've probably seen all sorts of silly bases like this. Yellow Howard says, this is a really interesting topic. I love people and being social, but I've always had a hard time hanging out with the same one person for more than a few days at a time. Yeah, best place to start thinking about something like that from Harold is like start with yourself. It's never the other person in a relationship. You always got to, like, take responsibility for how you feel and whatnot. And yeah, I would look at it as, like, what are the thoughts, what are the feelings that are coming around right? And if you're able to like identify those, you're able to step back a little bit from it, like to be meta about it, to see it happen rather than be so involved and invested in what those feelings and emotions are. And you know, you may learn to just quiet those feelings a little bit as a result from, you know, being able to see things that way, right? Also, some people are socially draining to be around, says Bear. That's true. You know, you do have to pick and choose who you hang around with to some extent. I've definitely hung around with people that just, like, exhaust me. And I'm thinking back to a time when I didn't have any of the vocabulary or understanding of any of this stuff. And so my gut feeling was like, I like you, but, like, this is kind of too much. But I always used to internalize it. It always used to be like, oh, I'm a weirdo, I'm a freak, or whatever, right? Like, that's how I used to think about these things, was just as if it's my fault and there's something wrong with me. I listened to this book. Oh my! I say listened. I actually read it. I've got it. I love it. That really helped me change how I thought about a lot of this stuff. It's called Introvert Power. It's a really great book. I forget who wrote it, but it was just such a great book about, like, okay, so like you're introverted, but like it's not a bad thing. And the book kind of talks so rationally about being an introvert, like, and treating it like it's a superpower, right? Like, you know, maximize the great things of, you know, you're introverted and this is what you're like. And then, you know, when it comes to extroversion, how can you optimize your life to, like, work with people around you that are extroverted? And I can't remember the numbers from the book, but, you know, you hear these studies and whatnot about demographics every now and then. Like, quite a lot of people are actually introverted, and some societies are more introverted than others. Like in Japan, it's a very introverted society in how people treat each other in public. Like, there's a lot of distance and respect and bowing and quiet, and the culture just sort of manifests more introvertly, I guess you could say, over in Japan. Introvert Power, written by Laurie Helgo, says Baytan Daniel. That is the book. It's a really great book. That's one of those books that really, like, did a lot for me. When I read that, it was, you know, like you say, it's life-changing. I mean, kind of was, maybe. I don't know. Just, there was so much good stuff in that book. And I really liked it. And now lots of people in chat are sharing other books about introversion. Yeah, and the result isn't that, you know, you have to become a social butterfly or anything. You just want to sort of learn to be more comfortable with yourself and understand yourself better, right? And yeah, on the topic of, like, countries and cultures being different from one another, I feel like England is like this weird sort of, like, exacerbated extrovertedness, and also, like, a lot of introvertedness as well. Because you have, like, these contrasting cultures where people generally don't talk to each other over here, like, on the street. Like, if you bump into people, or, like, you know, if you're at a supermarket and someone comes near to you, it's always, oh, sorry, and, like, everyone's just not trying to interact with each other. Yet there's also a culture of, like, drinking, and the drinking is to facilitate, like, social interaction. So it's like we're all sort of sheltered, but then we have this, like, big expression of extrovertism through using alcohol. And for the most part, it seems quite unhealthy, a sort of dynamic. But that might just be, like, the way I look at it because of how I feel or something, right? But that's kind of, like, my experience of England. And I don't know if, like, Japan has a sort of a flip with drinking culture like that, but yeah, Japan's supposed to be a rather introverted country. America is very extroverted, no surprises there. And what I really liked about when I was a kid, when I went to America on holiday, is that just people would be so friendly to you in America. Like, you just sort of like walk into somewhere, and because someone was in proximity, they'll be like, "Oh, how you doing?" And you'll be like, "Oh, I'm alright." And they're like, "Oh, so you're from England?" And like immediately just start being welcoming and chatty, and like, you know, if you were in a shop, if you were waiting somewhere, like if you were in a theme park waiting to go on a roller coaster, people around just start talking to each other. It was really pleasant. It was really pleasant. That's kind of one of the things, like, one day I'll go back to America again. That's kind of one of the things I'm looking forward to, is just how nice people were in general. Yeah. South Africa is a lot like America in that way, says Iron. All the South Africans I've known have always been, like, super friendly people. Like, extrovertly friendly, you know, like they'll come up and say hello and full of enthusiasm and stuff. I wish I had more of that, but, you know, like, growing up in England, you become like what you're surrounded by, I guess, and there's not a lot of that. People keep to themselves and then, like, and then go out drinking to be social. I think it's unhealthy, but, you know, I'm just sort of seeing it from one perspective. Rice Master says, yeah, even as an introvert in America, it's nice to see how nice people can be when you socialize with them. Yeah, it is. And, you know, even though I'm introverted, I always try and take the opportunity to have polite small talk with people. You see, as I said, like, earlier about how, like, you tell yourself little stories. Like, when I didn't understand being introverted, you know, I'd sort of think of myself as being different and not like other people, and that kind of just leads to, like, dark thoughts and dark places and whatnot, and not particularly healthy. But then when you realise it, and you've got the context to, like, put it into perspective, it lets you, like, enjoy the stuff you know you're not good at. Yeah, I'm not, like, a great chit-chat person when I bump into people or whatever, but, like, why would you have to be? And then, you know, someone starts talking to you for whatever reason, it's, like, nice to just enjoy whatever that is, I guess. You know, because, you know, I'd be judging myself when I was younger. I'd be like, oh, I can't hold a conversation or whatever. Like, just finding some way to, like, beat yourself up in your mind. And now I'm just like, I don't even care. Like, I'm sure if you have a, I don't know, like a slightly awkward or not exactly a fruitful conversation with someone, I don't think they're going to think about it for more than 5 seconds. So there, Violet says, small talk is hard to me. Yeah, and you'll find, like, what will make it, like, when you put it in that perspective, like, it's hard for me, makes you, like you're saying it to yourself, so it manifests. Because if I'm to be objective, I'm not great at it, but, like, you kind of don't need to be. If I think of just all the little conversations I've had with people in the shops and stuff, it's like, it's the thinking about it that actually makes you bad at it, right? Like, when you stop caring, you just don't think as much, and then it's not a big deal, and then you have a little conversation, and it doesn't have to be the world's most... Like, you're not there to be the world's most exciting person for someone else. You're just having a chit-chat or whatever. Talk about the weather. You know. Some people are just boring, says Hoggle Leggings. Yeah, I think, like, no, I don't think people are boring. I just think the way we interact with one another makes it seem like that. Like, honestly, if you bumped into me, didn't know who I was, I would just seem like a boring person, because I'm quiet, I keep to myself, I don't really say much. Like, the irony here is that I have a little place that I come and talk to all of you about. This is why I like waffling so much, because I don't waffle to anyone else. Is it making sense now? Like, yeah, like, see, like, this is the thing though, like, don't tell yourself you're boring. Like, don't do those little stories. Everyone here's got something cool or interesting that they're good at, and it's always the thinking about it that's the problem. Just thinking, and, you know, when you work on that, and then someone bumps into you at the shop and starts up a conversation, your mind ain't going to that place anymore, because you've worked on it, and then you just enjoy the conversation. And, you know, like, really what you're just enjoying is having a chat with someone. Like, again, It's not like you're going to talk about super interesting stuff. Most little conversations you have with people in the shops are just like remarks about something you can observe, like some product. And sometimes when I buy stuff, like the cashier will start chatting to you about like what you've brought, and like these conversations are just like, oh, I've tried those, they're nice, aren't they? And you're just sort of like, yeah, they're alright, I like these ones, the peanut flavoured ones, they're good. You know, and it's not even, it's almost like you're not even talking about the thing, you're just talking, because people like to talk. And of all those conversations that, you know, I've had in various places, little chit chat, you know, small talk, can't remember any of it really. That's not the point though, right? So I had 2 stories to tell. I can't remember if I told both. I didn't. No. We've just been waffling off the first one for ages, right? Dang, all of that from one little story. I like the cashier conversation. It's not awkward, says Andromeda Mira. Yeah, it's not. But here's the thing, like the awkwardness. Again, it's all about the thinking part of it. Because I used to think like I'm awkward and this is awkward, right? And then that does sort of make it awkward. It like it's the what's the term I'm trying to think of? You got like it manifests, right? But self-fulfilling prophecy, that's the one. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, you kind of make it so if you think about it that way. Because I don't think like that anymore, I've probably had plenty of conversations that weren't smooth, didn't fully understand what they were saying, or didn't have an answer, or, you know, but like, it's just over so quick, it really doesn't matter. And again, it's always the thinking that gets in your way. Anyway. Feel like we've been on that one for a while. Omega Ocean is here for 3 months. Raging Walrus is here with a Prime subscription. And Curls gifted a sub to Looney MC. Thank you for doing that, Curls. I missed that. I've been on the waffle for a while. Thank you again, Looney, if you're still there for that raid. We've got Licky Sticky Icky here for 33 months. Hi, X. Today is a scorcher. It's 38 inside the shop I work at. Hope your day is a lot cooler. It's one of the warmest days I've experienced so far this year here. One of the warmest. And I am almost at sweat level, you know, sweat level midnight. Might have to bust out that sweat rag before long. God, the legend of the sweat rag, right? If you guys want a really good tip to strike a conversation when you go to a new place, just say, "Is it here? I got so lost getting here," and then you just talk about the place. Works 8 out of 10 times, says Shinny. Yeah, there's loads of things like that you could learn to talk about. And you can find books on this stuff. Like, there's that book that everyone quotes, How to Win Friends and Influence People, whatever. But, like, some ideas are so simple. Like, when you meet someone and you're introduced to them, like, say their name to them, and it'll help you remember it. Like, that's a super clever tip. And, like, it also shows to the person that you're engaged and you're trying to remember their name. There's just, like, all those little things. I mean, to a lot of people, you just like learn this stuff naturally, right? And then for some people, you need to read a book about it, but those books are there. Anyway, should we go on to story number 2 now? Because that one went way off the track. I mean, if that went off the track, right? If the track was there and the waffle was here, that's a good bit of distance, right? This next waffle, oh god, the track's over here. We'll probably go all over the place with this next one. Goodness me. Number 2, please. Peeps are saying in chat. What is your least favourite part of the video making process? Like when I was making that Legends video, and for some reason the thing kept getting stuck. And eventually all I had to do was go in and, like, at the point it gets stuck was change the position of a video clip by like a frame, and then it would render. And every now and then you encounter that, and I don't know why it happens, but it happens. Sometimes it just happens. It's so weird. I genuinely think no one really calls me by my name compared to how often I call other friends by their name, says Zinoba. That's interesting, yeah. I mean, maybe it depends on your name. I don't know, like, here's the thing. Don't dwell over something like that. I feel like that could drive me mad, like, if you think on something like that for too long. Maybe it's the type of name or just... I don't know. Yeah, don't think on that, like... let it go. But, it could just be something so innocent, you know? That's the thing. It could just be something really innocent. Maybe some people have a propensity to, like, not want to say long names or something like that, or even short names. It could just be anything trivial, simple. I wouldn't dwell on that. Yeah, like, if I think about how I used to, like, overanalyze things like that in my life, I probably would have, like, found a gazillion reasons to, you know, think something was different about me, or take it in, like, a negative way, right? It's always, again, it's just always the thinking. So, story numero 2. Story numero 2. Let's see. Okay, so this one was on the BBC website. And you're probably going to hear a bit about this, depending on, like, what sort of circles you're in or whatever. But, like... So, Google is developing AI technology, artificial intelligence. And it's also developing the type of AI that you can sit and have a conversation with. And someone who's probably considering themselves a whistleblower is saying that the AI that Google has created is sentient, and has shared some examples of, like, talking to it, and it talking about not wanting to be turned off, and scared of, you know, being shut down and all this sort of stuff, right? And they had voiced their concerns internally over at Google, and, you know, when that didn't work out, they decided to go, like, the sort of whistleblower route and leak it to the press, and, you know, now I think they've lost their job and whatnot. But yeah, that's the gist of the story. So you're probably going to hear people, like, talk about, oh, you know, this Google employee says that the AI is sentient and all this. As soon as I heard this story, I got this impression of, like, I think I smell some BS over here. Right? I think I smell some BS. Now, I'm obviously not an expert, but as someone who pays a lot of attention to this kind of stuff and likes to listen to lengthy podcasts where people talk about the latest and greatest advances in AI, it just seems like we're really far away from that. Like, the smartest people have not been saying it's right around the corner. The smart people seem to go, look, you know, something's going to happen at some point, but we're not there yet. And the people over at Google have dismissed this person and said, like, they heard out their claims, they think they're wrong. Apparently, the person themselves has been using examples out of context. So, like, they share conversations, but the conversations are actually, like, select out of long big waffles where, like, the AI goes on some nonsensical tangent in the middle. Like, the way things currently work with this stuff is that it's all built off of data sets. So when you talk to an AI, it's generally a case of there's a data set of conversations, and it's very intelligently, like, understanding, usually through neural networks. Like, I say intelligent, right? Like, not a sentient form of intelligence, but a more arithmetic type sense of intelligence. You know, they're piecing together the components of conversation in a computerized way, and then are able to sort of mimic and replicate it. But this is all code. This is programming. This is, you know, data in, data out. And as far as I know, like, people in the AI community are not sounding off as if, like, some new advancement has been made that means we need to, you know, raise the alarm on possibility of consciousness. So when I heard this story, I was like, this kind of sounds like BS. And, like, hearing about how the employee has sort of, you know, stitched together a story out of many conversations, you know, leaving that kind of context out of the explanation as well. It just, I don't know, it was to me, it was just like, nah, this isn't a thing. But, you know, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens from here, because, you know, the story could change. But it kind of looks like this will probably just go away. You know? Like, they got the news article, but that's probably going to be the end of it. Thoughts, chat? What are your thoughts on this? Does it matter if AI is sentient or not? If its behaviour is difficult to differentiate, its behaviour is something that needs to be thought about. Codex, I think, you know, behaviour aside, yes, I think if it becomes sentient is important, because that is us creating life, and potentially life that experiences, you know, immense pain. I don't know what it's like to be a computer, but it might not be a great experience. And if we are to create that, especially in a digital space, in a world where we are increasingly digitizing, and, you know, robotics, automation, and computerization are, you know, happening faster and faster. If we create a sentience that's at the heart of all of that, and then it forms an opinion of us as well, right? Like, you can see where I'm going with this. So, you know, that's why another reason it's important for our, you know, if not for a moral reason, but for our own preservation, perhaps. Considering the implications that might come back our way. Aren't we also just data in and data out, says Sam Bob Bro. Yeah, we are. Food goes in, poop comes out. Very good. Very good observation. No, but we are data processing machines also. We're just incredibly complex compared to something like a computer. This is a debate though. Like, some people don't think so. Some people think that the experiential qualities of life mean that there's something more ephemeral going on there, and that maybe human consciousness can't be an equation, can't be just a bunch of computations, right? That's what some people think. I kind of fall down pretty hard on the idea that consciousness emerges from what's going on in our brain, like that sort of physicalist way of looking at it. But I can also then admit that, like, the experiential quality of things is definitely, like, where does that come from? It does feel like it's a difficult question. Like, okay, so consciousness is created by, you know, a bunch of neurons firing off, going through data, but, like, where's this experience quality coming from, right? Maybe it's just a very clever, strong illusion, but we don't really have a way of, like, explaining experience with, I don't know, math and physics like we can other stuff. So the experience side of things is kind of difficult to describe. Cal Digital, thank you ever so much for subscribing, greatly appreciated. I hope you're enjoying the waffle and the stream and all that good stuff. All of that good stuff. Carl says, sometimes being the way you are is hard, especially when your job doesn't allow for much introversion. I'm leading a project team of 10. I don't get to be an introvert when I'm in the office leading a 3-day seminar. When I come home in the evening, I'm totally exhausted and I wonder why I just can't be an extrovert. Well, Curls, I would say, you know, work on, have a practice, or it's like, maybe read that book if you haven't read it. That might help you a bit. But like all things in life, you identify something that's not optimal and work towards optimizing it. You know, it sounds tough. Don't get me wrong. I imagine that must be pretty hectic. But, like, you know, if you're telling yourself that story over and over again of, like, I can't, then you might need, like, a different story or a different way of looking at that. But, you know, it's easy for me to say. I don't really get challenged too much. Like, I guess I've gone through a period of it being challenging and then, like, sort of growing, but then, like, the growth is kind of, like, slow these days, I guess. If I were thrown into a situation where I had to be around a lot of people, then I might be looking for some advice myself, like maybe what I've got doesn't work, but you know, hopefully some of that is of help to you. AI can't produce things on its own. It's bound to the data we feed it and remix it and recognize patterns and put them out again. It can remix the emotions it has been given, but it can't produce on its own. I'm working with a partner company building AIs for learning environment purposes. Well, the thing with that is neither can we. Great series that I always bang on about is Everything is a Remix. Now, this is something that I like intuitively learned through music, especially through the love of hip hop and hearing how, like, I mean, this stuff would get me so excited because I'm such a music nerd, but I'd be like listening to like, I don't know, like an Ice Cube record, and then it's like, hey, I recognize that lyrical reference, or that instrumental in the background, that's from this other record. And like, if that stuff gets you excited, hip hop will be like a drug, because you start listening to a lot of hip hop and there is like a big lineage of sampling from like 70s and 80s like funk and soul music, and then even just references in between artists from one to the other, and you know, the nature of the music just means there's so much more crossover and interconnectivity. But it teaches you that, you know, you might think like, you know, Jay-Z's the best rapper ever, or, you know, I love his beats and his style and stuff, but, you know, he'll have a whole bunch of artists that influenced him before him in the history of hip-hop, and a lot of, like, the records and stuff, like the sampling that you'll hear, will come from their like, upbringing. If you, like, I'm trying to think of something a little more specific, but, like, a lot of Tupac songs on his early records, they come from, what's that song? Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get bright. Keep your head up. That song that he sings, keep your head up, right? The ooh, child bit, the premise of the song, the instrumental, it comes from this beautiful 70s song called Ooh, Child, right? There's so much of that in hip hop. And it's the whole remix thing. It's the same with art. It's the same with Minecraft. It's the same with all things that we like to call original. Like movies. They all have lineages. The people that create them were influenced by the things that came before it. If you've ever gotten like really deep into pretty much anything creative, you'll probably find like some historical backlog. Like maybe you're like into novels and stuff, and you know, you really like this one novelist, and you hear about how they were influenced by someone else, and you go read their old novels, and you're like, oh yeah, I can see how like this influenced that. It's everything creative. It's just everything's a remix. And what's fascinating about it is that it feels original sometimes when you're in the middle of it, and some people make these like big leaps forward where it's like, how did they come up with that? But when you step back from all of that, you just see how it's just slowly advancing. I think what's more interesting is like, what is it advancing into? Is that where originality is? Like the space that all this remixing goes into? Maybe that is it. Art is a conversation, says Anti-Pyranny. Yeah, that's a good quote that sort of expresses a similar thing. So art's another really good one if you ever study art. And like, there's a really good video on YouTube actually. I think it was called like Art Movements Through the Ages, and it just gives you some examples. It's one of those ones where no one's talking, it's like music, and like an image is on the screen for 3 seconds, then it moves forward and tells you what date the next one is from, right? You know, like a lot of art is very biblically and religiously influenced for a long time, and then you start getting to like the maybe around 16 or 1700s, like things start to shift with like the medieval era a bit, and then you can just kind of see it like explode, and so many new ideas come into the fold. But you also see like how they like incrementally went from one place to the next. So yeah, like the remixing thing is the point there was that this AI stuff, like if AIs are just remixing the data we're feeding them, that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. Who here's ever created something, right? Have you created a song? Have you drawn, written, anything at all? There is no way that doing any of that, those activities that I just mentioned was in any way original, because you are not the first person to do any of those activities, right? So it feels, oh, you know, but I sat down and I wrote this poem, or I, you know, picked up the guitar and I wrote this riff, but it's like, someone had to introduce you to the concept of using that, right? That you could actually write a riff. And, you know, let's say you were brought up on, like, rock and metal. What's the chances that you pick up a guitar and you start playing power chords, right? It's all there. Everything's a remix. I create by cooking, says Zulu West. Cooking is, like, you know, a handed down tradition from generations, you know, like passing on recipes and stuff, and now you can get it all over the internet. And people remix, like, if you ever looked into cooking books, alright, how many cooking books are there? Are all of those recipes completely unique and original? Or do you think some of them are adaptations of others? Remixes of others? You know? That curry was good, but let's throw in this spice. Aha, we've got a new type of curry now. God, I want a curry all of a sudden. Wiggly Fox, thank you for 28 months. Some Jimbo's here with the Prime. Lord Cryptid is here for 13 months. Asian Wooton is here for 3 months. And Cal Digital, we read that one already, but thank you again, Cal Digital. Thank you to all of you. I don't want to be down here. As an artist, you can't call yourself original because there is always something you are referencing, says Fua Dream. Exactly. And if not another artist, maybe nature. I'd say it's different for humans than an AI in the sense that if someone makes you mad, you didn't just pick that emotion out of a bucket, but an AI right now doesn't know it should be mad about something because a human insulted it. Alright, so I'll pick apart what you just said. Okay. If we create an AI that works with emotions, we have to give it context and whatnot. So you have to give it data sets that deal with a language and the emotion of language. The AI has to then identify, you know, words, how they're used, and then understand if they're insulting or not. We have to do the same thing. We have to learn. We learn so intuitively and socially through childhood and whatnot. Because let's say you take someone who's completely isolated the entirety of their life, you bring them into society, introduce to them, and someone goes, you know, says something nasty to them straight away. They have no reference material, they have no context that what's being said to them is nasty. So it's a learned thing. So the experiential quality of an emotion makes you feel like the digital reality of an AI can't interface with those things. But you got to realize is that your brain has all these neurons and pathways that fire and activate based on the stimulus that come in through the senses, and that is like a neural network. That's why AIs are probably based on neural networks, right? Like the neural network is what we have in the brain. I think that's how that works. I think it's like the brain inspired the neural network, right? Now that I'm thinking about how a neural network works on a computer, it is trying to like emulate the brain to some extent, or how they once thought the brain worked. Children are socialized into the way they're expected to react to where'd that one go? But it isn't a thing that is explicitly taught. It has to be learned. Yeah, it doesn't need to be taught. You can learn it less explicitly, but like explicit or not, the way that a neural network is given data and whatnot, I believe, I don't know if you categorize it as explicit or not, but I think there are different ways of teaching it. Like sometimes they give the AIs like the neural nets like a data set and sort of let it go freehand, you know, like try and keep their hand off the wheel as much as possible to see what it does. And then sometimes they get very active in like yes knowing its responses to like steer it in a direction. I remember hearing about that. I don't know what the context of it was, but they were like doing experiments in seeing what happens when like you give the AI the data sets, but you're not really telling them what results to create out of it. Vanhart21, thank you for 55 months of support. Curls of Doom, thank you for gifting a sub to Leonard M58. Leonard, be sure to say thanks in the chat. And I believe that means we're all caught up on the noises, aren't we? Some data sets are curated and sometimes they aren't. The ones trained off of Twitter data aren't generally. Yeah, I mean, there has to be some level of curation because you give it a data set, right? But yeah. I mean, our data set is like the environment that we go out there into the world and interact with, and you know, the sensory inputs give us this feedback, and you know, it might sound a bit weird to think about yourself in this sort of way, but you know, that's the kind of way I look at it. Like, if you wanna like solve the mysteries of consciousness and stuff, you got to start somewhere, and I think if you look at human experience this way, you might start to understand a little more, maybe. I love your basis season, such a cool idea, says Happy Gumpy. Thank you, thank you. I like it too. Part of our data set is our genetic makeup. Babies, for instance, are born with their own individual personality, says Argyle's Pargyle. That is a big statement to make. But yeah, I guess genetics does have influence on personality, as I've heard it. Heard it said many times that there is scientific research into how genetics do actually influence personality. So there's that, but then perhaps in the architecture of a neural net, you may sort of put in biases or air quotes personality or some sort of, you know. Again, what is personality though? Like it's always the experiential area of things that I think can distract you from like the underlying mechanics of something. Like, remember, we have this brain and we've learned so much about how it works over the past 100 years, and we'll keep learning more. And we start to see some of the mechanisms and whatnot, but the experience, it's always like we frame things so experientially. So personality is like an experiential thing, right? And maybe if we start to think about what is that, you know, digitally perhaps, or more as a thing of function. You know, a bunch of calculations, a bunch of neurons firing in the brain. I mean, personality would essentially be like, I think a lot of personality is sort of like predictable behavior, right? Like, someone's personality means you can predict their behavior, essentially. So their personality is probably what drives them to respond to situations in certain ways. And so that's almost like having a reference sheet, right? If this, then that. Now all of a sudden you're looking at it like it's some sort of logic. Logic gates. If this, then that. That's your personality, mate. I've solved it. Right here on this stream. Your personality is just a logic gate. I don't know. Personality is how engaged you are with someone, says Mr. Samuel. I wouldn't describe it like that. I'd be interested to see what the dictionary says. I'm sure it'd be more about like someone's expected traits is their personality, like their behavior is their personality. But I could be wrong. A lot of people see it as nature versus nurture, but in reality both playing together. I love developmental psychology because it helps me understand the interplay between the genes and the environment, says Val Taxi. Yeah, absolutely. The of what I've been listening to and heard about it, it always seems to be like it's both. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it sounds like things like genetics can actually play like quite a big role in some things. You'll probably find that like the answer that we probably can't actually get to at the moment of like, you know, is it nature or nurture is probably like it's both, and it's always very nuanced, and there's probably like a wide range of variability. But again, depends on what you ask, right? Maybe some stuff's more swaying in one direction, some stuff's swaying in another. It's all fascinating. All fascinating. I think it's more like how people would react to certain scenarios, says Salamander. That's how I think about it too, because it's like if someone's personality is like what happens when you put them in hot water. That to me is like a bit more of a gut instinct of personality, but not always like, you know, a test of character. What happens if you put them in a room with a bunch of instruments, right? Someone might just like look out the window, and someone else might like pick up those instruments, you know. Don't know who they are, they're not going to ask, they're just going to start playing. Certain types of machine learning work with some form of randomization, if I'm not mistaken. This could be compared to the randomization in the human gene pool. There's always left's bluebird. Yeah, I think it depends on like each individual neural net, or how it's set up. Because the way if I try and explain it, I'm probably not going to explain it very well. The way that a neural network works is you sort of set up a bunch of like crisscross parameters of inputs. No, I'm definitely doing a bad explanation of this, but I'll try and get there anyway. You're sort of creating like a complexity for multiple inputs, and then, you know, like it's a process. So you give it an input and it gives you an output, and then what you do is you adjust all those crisscross chords. Like, you know, you adjust the values of them slightly, move them about, and a lot of this gets automated when you're talking about like doing AI modern day. But when they first started out, they would do them manually, right? And then eventually you create like a complex pattern where data comes in and it tends to change into whatever you want it to be. And some of the first neural nets were used for like image processing and identifying shapes. So you can imagine how if the image of like triangles is broken down into a bunch of pixels, and then you feed it like image after image, and you give it like a stronger value where there is color of the triangle, and then a weaker value where there is space that doesn't have the shape in it, then eventually you give it so many triangles it starts to weight the area in which triangles most likely appear. So then when you feed it a square, it doesn't go through the same way because it's used to, I don't know, like the data appearing in different places. That's my attempt at trying to explain it. Alright, I probably did a terrible job, but that's how I kind of understand it. It's probably like way easier to explain with some visual cues. But it's super fascinating and well worth learning about. I mean, like math and science and some of the ideas that people come up with is just brilliant. And that was a brilliant idea. The first imaging processing AI was made in 1952, says Salamander. That sounds absolutely right. Because as I was explaining this, I was literally thinking of somewhere around there, somewhere in like the 50s or 60s. Like when computers filled up a room, they were figuring this stuff out. So cool. It pieces together the rules of what constitutes a triangle, says Shlusha. Yeah, that's essentially it, yeah. So like, if you think about it like this, let's say you want it to like tell the difference between cats and dogs. So you keep giving it images of both. Like, cats and dogs will have traits. Whenever there are eyes in the image, there will be like different shapes or different colors, and like, as you feed it data and you give it the yes/no answer over and over again, it's going to build up a better understanding of where the different quirks are in the image. And it does this through this thing that I was describing, right? Like the grid of cross references where they have a strength value for how likely this thing is. So like when you send it an image of a dog into the dog algorithm and it hits all the likely areas, it's like, yep, it's a dog. Something like that. I was going to say something else. What else was going to... Something else popped into my head. Things are always popping into my head. Jeez, stupid brain. Let's get rid of some of this stuff now, as I reserve this chest for that. Yeah, the organisation over here is quickly just turned into madness, and that's absolutely fine. Average Martin is here, being average for 37 months. Glad to be back for another month of derp casting. Are we doing a derp cast right now? Salamander says it's like a human seeing a massive amounts of pictures and trying to figure out the differences. Well, the way we humans work, we still don't fully understand how we ourselves do image recognition, right? I mean, maybe there is. Maybe actually some people have like studied that extensively and have got some good theories on it. I don't know. But like the neural net thing is like just a great exercise in getting a computer, like getting computation to identify stuff. It's so clever. And it was obviously inspired by our own neurology. There is a website and an app called Zooniverse where everyone can train AIs and algorithms to do a better job of recognizing species and even galaxies and other things. Oh, Curls, you reminded me of what I was going to say. So everyone here has probably done that little capture thing where, I don't know, you're logging into a website and it's like, you know, click on the fire trucks or whatever. Right? Everyone knows those little login prompts. Prove you're human, click on the fire trucks. What you're actually doing, right? And I also believe that it's like, this is not even necessary for you to use this service, right? Maybe it was at one point, you know, that they needed to prove that you're a human and stuff, but here's the reason they do this most of the time now. You're not proving to the website that you're a human. You're training an AI when you do that stuff. Like, those images, they probably just came through a neural network, and then you're doing the yes/no for that neural network. So, like, you know, if it says click on the images with fire hydrants, you're probably training a neural net to learn how to identify fire hydrants. It's crazy, isn't it? To prove you're not a bot, they just track your mouse movement. Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but so Google developed this technology where if you've ever done that Google box where it says prove you're a human, tick the box, right? That's it. You're not training a neural net, anything like that, you're just ticking this box. Right? There's a lot of speculation as to how that works, because I think it's a well-kept secret over at Google. But you know, it obviously knows how to tell the difference between a human and a bot. And mouse movements, I think, would be a pretty good guess. But I think people have, like, also then gone and created scripts that, like, I don't know, record human mouse movements or some other things and, like, haven't been able to beat it. So it's not actually known if it's mouse movements or not. But if you're referring to that Google very clever piece of software that you see, sometimes instead of having to tell it where the fire trucks are, you just have to click that one box. It's like, I'm a human, and then it goes, yeah, you are. Yeah, the answer to how it does that is not known because it's like a Google secret, and some people theorize it's the old mouse movements, but who knows, right? I don't think they've been able to make bots that beat it yet. What we do, basically what a neural network does for a ton of times seeing our cat. Our brain has built a huge set of characteristics that we fit as a cat. We just evaluate if what we are seeing matches what we know constitutes a cat. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it's a neural net, right? And it's based on our neurology. But do you ever have those moments where you think you see something and then, like, you see something off in the distance and your brain doesn't quite, like, suss out what it is in time, and you can have, like, a moment of it's almost like confusion, but it feels like it should have a more apt term, like you might say deja vu. It's not deja vu, but, you know, like one of those odd feelings. Whoa! That sucker came out of nowhere. Dang. Well, that's the end of my time lapse. I think I might just stop recording. Well, I should also log out because all my items are loaded. Dang. How are we going to get back? There's an elytra here, but no rockets. Do I need an elytra? I think I just need ender pearls. Is there any ender pearls here? Okay, well, what is the best way back for me? I need to rename that replay quickly. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Alright. Maybe I got some ender pearls in my base. And that is the end of the musical playlist, by the way. I like the way it ends with the pianos there. Oh no, it's not. Okay, there's one more song. We keep going. There is a certain mailbox that I often walk by, which at a distance makes me think there is a person standing there, says Yellow Harold. Yes, that kind of thing, right? I had some of those that have just been like... They like melt your mind for a second. It's like if you get really caught up in what you're looking at. Because like when you're in that state of ambiguity, it's like the world sort of disintegrates around you for a moment. You're like hyper focused. And when you can't suss out what it is or what it is changing, it can be really weird to experience that. And I think it's something I've experienced more as I've gotten older because, you know, like your mind isn't as sharp and your eyesight isn't as keen, and it can be really really odd to experience that. How not laggy is this space right now? Is Tango on like fixing something in the Nether? This was super choppy earlier. There are pictures where you can't identify anything in the image, says Boop Alive. Feel free to tweet that at me, because to me that sort of sounds like you could just create a jumble of colour and say that that's that, right? Oh no! Ah, I held shift and it didn't count. Dang it. The amount of times that happens really annoys me. Well, not the dying bit, but like the holding shift. I also really need the toilet. Alright, I think I might just wrap it up and get my stuff back on camera, right? Because I need to pop the loo. So, big thank you to everyone who subscribed, resubscribed, donated and cheered. I appreciate all your support. Thank you to the mods, the patrons, the people gifting subs, and all the people listening to me talk really fast. Be sure to hit that follow button here on Twitch to make sure that you know about the next stream. And I'm going to send you over to False, who's currently participating in Twitch Rivals. Cool. Right, the raid has begun. Thank you everyone. Take care.